Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey there, hi there, ho there. This is Ralph Hayes Jr., RH Jr., reality check coming to you live over the internet through a series of tubes known as the Blue Tube we call YouTube, bringing you yet another broadcast of my contribution to the litter lining the sides of the information superhighway. A little something I'd like to call Spleen Squeezins. According to this, I got one concurrent viewer. Now I've got no concurrent viewers. I've got nothing, man. Okay, why am I doing this at 1:47 a.m.? I'll tell you why I'm doing this at 1:47 a.m. Because in the middle of the day today, it was 90 frickin' degrees. Outside. Inside, except for the little area known as my bedroom, you see, I have an air conditioner at each end of my house. One in the curtained off area around my computer, and one in my bedroom. And those things can barely fend off the heat. When the temperature goes above 75, this trailer starts becoming an oven. You know, it's a nice leaky oven. I still haven't gotten I still haven't gotten anybody even to go up on my roof and look yet. But I haven't got the money left because that $1,200 they gave us, I spent it on the electric bill, and for the past 2 months I spent it on the electric bill and the internet bill and the lot rent for my trailer, and on expenses high and low, toilet paper, soap. I will confess to eating a lot of takeout, but the majority of, nearly all of it is, just odds and ends, things that I did need, things like medicine, bandages for my legs, crap like that, surgical tape, laundry soap, dish soap, people soap, all the 10,001 things that I've been putting off getting. Never quite enough money. Amazon.com. All these companies are coming out. The guy that owns Amazon.com is out there. I support the Black Lives Matter movement. Profile. Virtue signaling visible from space. But I support Black Lives Matter. I'd like to see him drive one of his own delivery trucks. Let's make him drive one of his own delivery trucks in and out of one of those riot prone areas, and see how long he supports Black Lives Matter after that. You know what the problem is with Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter, just by stating it, first of all, they're implying that nobody but them cares about black people. Second of all, they're implying that being black makes you important for some reason. Now, wasn't that contradictory to that whole equality thing everybody was supposed to be shooting for? Now, I don't got any respect for the BLM movement. I don't. I can't. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't. Because, even if I was liberally inclined, I couldn't bring myself to respect them. Because they've been popping up over since I was a little baby. Since before I was born. There have been racist agitators, race baiters, who come out and make their political hash by inciting riots and claiming we're doing it for justice. I'm sorry, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King. Coined the idea of civil disobedience. Problem is everybody else that's claiming, oh, we're doing it like the king. No, they're not. They've got the disobedience part down, but they haven't got anything remotely resembling civil. Time to go back to vocabulary class, kids. Anyway, no, the Black Lives Matter movement, it's BS. First of all, because straight up, there is not an epidemic of black people, getting beat up by racist cops. No. They can pull up the stats and numbers and show you that. In fact, they've proven over and over again that cops are reluctant to arrest or detain, or especially to pull a firearm on a black person, because they know, pop the top of that can of worms instantly. It's costing cops their lives out there. The Black Lives Matter movement wants everybody to respect them, but I'm sorry. Maybe people would respect the Black Lives Matter movement more if they could actually find a poster child for their movement who wasn't a thug. This latest one, George Floyd. George Floyd, turns out he has, you guessed it, a rap sheet as long as my arm. And the autopsy came out, and he apparently had a few things floating around in his system. Dope, and a few other things, and alcohol, and a few other things floating around in his system when he when he had his unpleasant little run-in with the police. So you'd think that if racist cops were a thing, if police thuggery were such a thing, you'd think they would go out and find somebody who was genuinely innocent and use them as a poster child for this movement, but they don't. Over and over again, it's some punk, somebody with a criminal record, somebody who is in the middle of committing a crime. Remember Free Mumaya? Good old Mumaya was a murderer, and they were still taking his side against the cops. He was thrown in jail, after whacking a bunch of people in a convenience store. But because he was black, and because somebody managed to whip up a sob story. I'm sorry, a white man can't get justice in this country anymore. If a black man kills him, nobody's gonna care. Look what happened to O.J.'s wife. Her killed by her husband. You think the feminists would be enough? No. O.J. Simpson. They practically had a trail of blood from the bodies to his car, and they still couldn't manage to convict that man. Why? Because he was a black celebrity. You're a racist! No, I'm just sick of your bullshit, These crazy people are going out there saying they want to defund the police. You know what I say? I say fence off all these communities are out there rioting and screaming defund the cops and let them do it. Fence them off. Say, here's the deal. You have to live here for the next 10 years. You can't leave. You can't move out. You can't be an absentee landlord. You got to live here. And we'll do exactly what you said. We'll defund the cops, and we'll change everything, and we'll do everything that your politically correct little heart wants. And you have to live with it. Then, after the last of the buildings has crumbled to, has burned to ash, we'll go back in and let the survivors out. Oh yeah, I heard about that too. The Looney Tunes reboot on HBO Max. They're taking away Elmer Fudd's gun. What a bunch of pussies. Nearly 100 years that character has been running around with a shotgun. Seriously, it's been nearly 100. I believe it's supposed to be 1933 when they started out. He's just shy of a 100-year-old character. But oh no, he's running around. He's shooting a cartoon gun at a cartoon rabbit. Oh, trauma, trauma, trauma. Nobody seems to give a crap that there are actual criminals out in the street, burning the neighborhood down. But God help us if Elmer Fudd is seen firing a shotgun, or the Cookie Monster is actually seen eating a cookie. Excuse the pretzel crunching. I literally spent the day sleeping in bed trying to sleep through the heat. Because even with my air conditioner, I got problems here. I got so many problems. Okay, my living room air conditioner, it's not draining right. It needs to be tilted backwards a little bit. I don't have the tools or the means to go out and adjust that shelf and so that the water, the condensation, the water was supposed to drip out of the back of it. Well, instead of draining out of the back where it's supposed to, that little shelf is too even, and it's dripping out of the front of my air conditioner, down the wall, right next to the power outlet. My makeshift solution is I've stuck a towel under it, and stuck the top of the towel under the drippy paste, wedged it in there, and put the other end of the towel down in a tub, in a plastic tub, so that it will soak into the towel and drip down into, hopefully without soaking into the wall. That's my solution for. Actually, it's similar to a trick that you can do for a dripping faucet. If you can't fix a dripping faucet, they say tie a string around it. Up close to the neck. Up close to the mouth of the spigot, and so that the drip will go down the string. It won't stop it from dripping, but it'll stop the plop 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 that drives you up the wall. You can do that with a leak in your roof too. You got a spot where the leak's coming through, tie a string or something, and run it from the drippy place down into a bucket. That way you don't have to sit there and listen to bleep, 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 bleep. Doesn't solve the problem. It just makes it bearable. Yeah. All right there. Oh, seriously. I'm just so tired of these birth of. I'm just so sick of these Bauhaus, big city, better than you, bastard. Coming around just trying to patronize to everybody, and like should be, just trying to pussify everybody. If your kid is eating too many cookies, it's not Cookie Monster's fault. Yes, socially irresponsible heifer. I'm sick of people who. I'm sick of the frickin' socially responsible people. I'm sick of them. I'm sick to death of them. Because without fail, somebody who's so anxious about being socially responsible, they're never personally responsible for anything. These are people these are the kind of people that sort their trash into three different bins every day, but they'll they'll dump litter on somebody else's lawn. Just you do not have a quote responsibility to society. I said the heretical phrase. You do not have a responsibility to quote unquote society. You have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to your parents, to your children, to your wife, to your neighbors. And the level of responsibility falls off dramatically the further you get from your own front porch. If everybody would just sweep their own front stoop, you wouldn't have to worry about this social responsibility crap. No, this whole movement is about people who don't, they don't want to be responsible for themselves. They don't want to be responsible about anything they do. They want society to be everything. They're so concerned about society that they'll trample over the people that make society up. The hell is this crap? Oh yes, I love that. I saw a clip of that. One of the clips they've changed it so he's now instead he can't be using a gun, so he's carrying around a scythe. Oh, that's much more civilized. Yes. These people are just. The world is being run by people who shouldn't even be let out in public without a trainer and a leash. And the sad thing is, the horrible thing is that they think they're the smartest people in the room. They believe themselves enlightened. As one commentator, this is the vision of the anointed. They believe themselves to be enlightened above all other men. They believe themselves to be smarter than anybody else in the room. And they sneer at anybody that questions their collective wisdom. they nearly shut the damn they nearly shut the damn country down for good because of a disease that is basically a little more than the flu. What is it? It's the flu. You get let's describe the coronavirus. You catch it, you get sick, you're down for several days. Respiratory, just run down the symptoms, but it's only dangerous. It's only deadly to the very old or the very sick. It's the frickin' flu. And we point out that none of their projections turned out the way they said. Oh, well, that's because we squashed the curve. No, it's not. Because if it had, the majority of people who came down with the coronavirus were the ones who sheltered in place, the ones who were hiding behind closed doors with masks on their face whenever they went out in public. The people who were out in public all the time, the essential workers, who should have been coming down, dropping like flies with it, didn't. And isn't it amazing how, suddenly it's no longer a concern? They'd send out, just remember this. Remember this the next time you have an election in your area. The Democrat governors and mayors sent out SWAT teams to shut down church gatherings and bake sales and shit. But when it came down to riots, they hid behind closed doors and didn't do a thing. Every last one of those assholes, every last one of those Democrat those bastards should be dragged out in the street and flogged. They were out there sending out cops to arrest people for being out in public without a mask, but the instant that they started rioting, there wasn't a cop to be found. And when the cops did show up, the mayors were right behind them. Oh, no, you got to soft soap them, Yeah, I'm hearing about absolutely insane shit that the police are getting up to. Okay, let's review a couple of things. Yeah, their police are getting excessive out there. That's what you happen when you take a peacekeeper, a community peacekeeper, and drop them in the middle of a war zone, and tell them that they have to, play nicey nice with the people who are setting the neighborhood on fire. They dropped a bunch of cops in the way of a bunch of rioters. The cops got a little bit handsy. What a frickin' surprise! Two, let's remember, I ran the numbers. In the United States, there is one guy carrying a badge for every 300 citizens. That's the average nationwide. One cop for every 300 citizens. We got just under 1 million cops in this country. And you figure even that's, even by those numbers, think about it. We got 300 million citizens, 1 million cops. What is you go stick stirring. You're going to find out, 1 million cops. What a surprise! You go sifting through 1 million people. You go sifting through 1 million of anything. Whether you're talking cops or nurses or grocery baggers, you're gonna find some frickin' psychos. And if you go in there with an agenda, yeah, you're going to find a lot of what you were looking for. If the cops were as excessive as they thought they were, they'd be dead bodies piled up. I'm not. I'm hearing all the same reports too. There's those crazy cops out there who, under orders, slashed the tires of every car in a Kmart parking lot. What the hell? We were ordered to do that. It was supposed to keep us safe from. How? Let's take all these cars that are blocking traffic and make sure they're even harder to move. Proof positive there are ass clowns everywhere. They're not showing this on CNN. They're not showing the people out there, just rioting, attacking people, killing people, destroying businesses, looting. No, that's not showing up. It's showing up, people's Facebook, people snapping a picture and posting it up. It's not making it to the mainstream news. It doesn't fit the narrative, Peaceful protesters against the brutal cops. I'm sick of hearing about this. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired about living it. I'm tired of living about it. It's a waste of air and life. And what it is that we've got it's a matter of months until the next election, and the people who are really behind it all will do absolutely anything. They would rather burn the country down than let their political adversaries maintain power in the White House. They don't like that. They're willing to do it perfectly willing to do it. Some tea company, started, we support the Black Lives Matter movement. You remember the story of the Pharisee? It's all over Facebook right now. Oh, Lord, I thank you that I'm not a racist bigot like this person over here. Obligatory little black box up in the corner. Let me explain it to you. I was born in 1971. Over and over again, over the 49 some odd years of my life. No, I watch this crap happen over and over again. They will use any excuse on the globe. any excuse to go into a berserker riot, to loot, plunder, and destroy. Hooting and hollering, jumping around like animals. And thanks to the folklore that the mainstream media has made out of the 1960s civil rights movement, they can wreak absolute havoc for any reason at all, and go home feeling sanctimonious about it. Are there bad cops out there? Does the system need adjusting? That's one thing you have to understand. The left and the right, conservatives and liberals, we do not have right-wing issues and left-wing issues. We have issues, and we have people who have right-wing solutions and people who have left-wing solutions. That's the problem. We all have the same problems, but the way we interpret them, the way we understand them, and the way we want to fix them is east and west, and never the twain shall meet. And you'll pardon me if I say that it's the conservative side that 99.999% of the time is the method that works for solving these things when they're applied. But people don't want to apply. I just love how people answer. You try and bring up something, like try and discuss capitalism with people, or you discuss the gold standard, which is a capitalist issue, and their first response is to go get their college textbook on economics. Incapable of thinking for themselves, incapable of answering a question. They want the glib, poetic-sounding rhetoric that was sold to them when they were in college, or is being spoon-fed to them now. And if you say anything that contradicts what they have in their textbook, you're the ignorant one. These liberals, the leftists, routine, it's a knee-jerk reaction. They don't even think about it. They don't even have to think about it. Their go-to response to anything a conservative says, about science, about the environment, about the economy, is to sneer at it and mock it as ignorant. You didn't go to a college and get an education. You didn't know nothing. Yeah. People that couldn't survive out of the hot house flower environment of the college campus, lecturing the rest of us on how the world works. This is why I look at their communities now and I say, let them burn. They're not going to listen to anything we say. So let them do what they want. Just go and get a nice seat for the party, and you know, get yourself some soda and some popcorn and watch the fun from a nice safe distance. That's all you can do anymore. And some of them will never learn. They will go to their grave. They'll go destitute, disease rattled, and racked in every misery that their intellectual poverty has given them. And they'll go, I don't understand. It was supposed to be utopia. There are stupid fuckers in pardon my language. There are stupid fools in what's in the busted up pieces of the Soviet Union that are still. I don't understand. The communist utopia was on the rise. Some people you can't do anything with or for. Hell, we spent 50 years trying to teach him that you can't grow up healthy, living on rabbit food and soy. And only after 50 years of people being killed, having their lives shortened and their health ruined, and straight up being killed by this vegetarian vegan bullshit. Are they coming around admitting, oh well, gee, maybe a little meat and dairy would actually be good for us? And 90% of them are sitting there, just digging their heels in, just sitting there pouting with their fingers in their ears, refusing to listen. I love being lectured by people. Well, they've disproven. I love people who lecture me about the gold standard. We can't go back on the gold standard. It's been proven by people way smarter than you that the gold standard is passé and it just doesn't work. And we've gone on fiat currency, and fiat currency works fine, and we're doing great. And nanny neener neener boo boo. Just blazing intellectual conversation. And all I have to do, I don't even have to say, I just have to stand there, point back at like 6,000 years of human history. It didn't work for the ancient Greeks, and it didn't work for the Germans, and it's not worked for any of these third world banana republics who are out there printing up, million quatlu paper bills every week, and it's not going to work for you. Is these people, you can't convince them that the forest fire is coming because their house hasn't caught fire yet. the same formula every time. The banks figure out that the bankers figure out that they can buy more stuff with receipts than they can with the actual gold. So they print out more paper receipts than is actual gold available, and then eventually they stop bothering with the gold entirely. And then circumstances depending, it goes on for a few years or a few decades even, and then boom, it implodes like a black hole. It's what happened to Germany twice. That's what most people don't know, is that their economy, the Weimar Republic's economy, collapsed twice. Yeah, I kind of defund the police. Okay, so you're going to stop what? You're going to stop paying the cops? This bullshit is coming from people who have their own hired security guards. That's where that shit's coming from. Well, then again, there are people that really are that stupid out there who think that, we could all live in harmony if we just got rid of the cops. I told you about that survivalist family up in New England. They're preppers. Calling them survivalists isn't correct. They're preppers. They believe that it's their duty to be prepared for when and if catastrophe strikes, when the economy collapses or the government implodes or there's a natural disaster or all of the above. So there are people that they put their lifestyle around preparing for what they believe is an inevitability, and they're right. There's never been a nation on earth that hasn't gone through calamity. There's never been a period in time when tragedy hasn't struck, and they're preparing, and they're taking what they know and prepare. Some of them badly, some of them quite well. There were several families I was very impressed with, but I was impressed with this particular family until I got to the end of the episode. It was a TV show called Doomsday Preppers on Netflix. But anyway, this one family, it was like a 3 or 4 generation family. Okay, they all gather, together at great grandma's house, great grandpa and grandma's house, and all work together on their it was just outside of town. It was a little mini farmstead basically. And they had goats for milk, and they had, I think they had sheep too. And they had beehives for honey, and they canned, and they wove their own clothing. I mean, they all the way back, started with the spinning wheel and a loom, kind of, make their own clothes kind of thing. And and beautiful home and well stocked larder, and the people interviewing him for this show, Doomsday Preppers, they asked, and they looked around and realized that they had no defenses. And he said, "What don't you have any guns?" "Oh, we don't believe in guns." And this show is not, the people running the show aren't exactly necessarily quite sympathetic with the Doomsday Preppers. One of the things they do is they tend to, at the end of each episode, they tend to poo-poo whatever prediction the Doomsday Preppers made. It's really unlikely that the economy will collapse like they're predicting. It's really unlikely that this will happen, even though it's happened a dozen times, in recorded history. So there's no reason to panic. But anyway, and they're looking at these people and said, "But what?" And the guy running the camera goes, "What are you going to do if the society collapses like you expect, and a bunch of guys with guns and pickup trucks show up and start making demands. What are you going to do then? And the eldest son, I just wanted to smack him. He just and he said, well, what we'd do is we would lay out a feast. I'm not making this up. We would lay out a feast, and we would show them that there's plenty for everyone. You just wanted to smack the smile off his face. You just wanted to beat the stupid out of him. These people, congratulations. You've spent 4 generations preparing this for somebody else. What do they think's going? There really are people that dumb who think that without the ability to, that think that you can survive in this world without the ability to defend yourself, without law enforcement, without self-defense, without the right to bear arms, without the things that they have taken granted their entire lives and done nothing but complain about. They're idiots. This is the as many have said, this is the feminization of our society. Liberalism sucks people in like a vacuum cleaner, but call me sexist all you want. Women fall for it faster. It's instinctual. No matter how you like to dice it, men, since the dawn of time, men have been expected to be the providers and protectors. Women have been the nurturers and caretakers, and they are conditioned, biologically conditioned, to want somebody to care for them. And with the advent of feminism, which pushed men out the door as providers and caretakers and protectors, they replaced the father figure, the breadwinner, with the government. And these silly women believe that a bureaucracy can do the same job as a husband can. They're hosed. The only thing keeping them alive is the pity of more mature adult people around them. And sooner or later, they're going to push people too far, and they're going to say, screw it, and leave them to roast. Having a little trouble here getting a Band-Aid on here. Just give me a second here. See, I have to put bandages on my leg, tape the bandages in place, and then I have to wrap my leg in ace bandages to hold the the taped band-aids in place. Multi-layered production. I'm all out of the ointments and salves and stuff, though. Gonna have to call my doctor or the hospital, see what I can do about that. Gotta find. I wasn't supposed to go back for 4 weeks. I think I'm only 2 weeks in. They give you, you got a patient that's got wounds and injuries all up and down their legs, and they give them a single little tube of salve. I bought some of that, Meta honey. If you've heard of it, there's a medical quality. It's a medical grade honey, and it's supposed to help healing. I wanted to try that. The thing of it was, you would not believe how expensive this stuff is. I got 2 little tubes, smaller than the tubes you get with the triple antibiotic. You know triple antibiotic at the store. Picture 2 teeny tiny little itsy witsy tubes. No longer in your pinky. It's called Elmesitran. It's a wound gel, and didn't take long to go through that, and cost me something like $30 on Amazon. I had to do something. I had to try something. The stuff they gave me is an antifungal paste, and it's not doing diddly. Anyway. They're determined to turn this country into a cross between Cuba and Venezuela. What would be what would be pivotally ironic? You have democracy trying to take root over in Hong Kong and in China. Wouldn't it be a kick in the head if circumstances aligned? If the stars aligned, and God reached down, and pushed all the dominoes in place, that the freedom movement, the democracy movement in Hong Kong spread throughout the country, and China became the new country to flee to if you were seeking for freedom. There's a lot of things coming together that make me kind of wonder. First of all, you got America. While America is still on fiat currency, and it's burning up its value fast, China has been pushing. Basically, China has been dumping all the American dollars it can and taking in as much gold and silver, precious metals, as it can. Right now, currently, China is buying the equivalent of the production of all the gold and silver mines in the world every year. The gold and silver mines all over the world produce umpty tons. China buys umpty tons with American dollars, no less. They're getting rid of the American dollar as fast as they can, and so are many of the other countries in the in the Far East and Central East, Middle East, Central East. On top of that, you have these protesters in Hong Kong. Millions of them, tens of they showed a photo of the Tiananmen Square memorial, and the area is just wall to wall people. The people in Hong Kong are not going to take it anymore, and it's not too far. And I can't imagine that Hong Kong is the only area in China that isn't sick of the communist government running their country and running their lives. One can pray and one can hope. Also take into consideration this Wuhan virus breaking loose in their country. That has got to be upsetting some tea kettles. That's got to be flipping some tables. Because remember, this virus is especially dangerous to the elderly, to people 60 and above. And who is it that who is it that packs out the Communist Party and the ruling elites? Ding, ding, ding. So what we have is a gigantic country that's gotten a taste of the good life that capitalism can bring. That has got to be more sick of the communists than the Soviet Union was by this point. That has dissident movements growing in strength every day in their most vital economic centers, and has a disease running loose that may literally cull the lords of power that have been ruling from the back halls all these years. It will be very interesting to see what happens in the next decade or so. Let's see. I have not watched I never got, we didn't have cable when I was a kid. We didn't get to watch He-Man. We didn't get to watch She-Ra. But even as a kid, I thought those names were stupid. And you saying, Mr. Cartoon Critic just watched Netflix's She-Ra, and it was not only the worst reboot I've ever seen, but one of the worst shows you've ever seen, period. The show was basically a Yuri fanfic with a budget. I figured as much. I find it come on, get real. I saw pictures of the new She-Ra. Isn't it amazing how much she looks like a boy with long hair? I got no boobs to tie me down, to make me fret or to make me frown. I don't know where I was going to go with that, so just let it go. Is the thing is that most people know is that they're calling it the Cal Arts conspiracy. Shows like let's see, what do they say? I'm trying to remember the names of some of the shows in particular. It's most of the shows that have gotten a lot of airtime lately. Got a lot of airtime over the past decade. They all look pretty. They all look almost the same. They just disturbingly similar art wise, writing wise, so on and so forth. Let's see. What was one of them? The Amazing World of Gumball. Steven Universe. Um, Even what was it called? Gravity Falls. Highly variable quality in that list already. And well, let's put it this way. It all sort of branches out from Steven Universe, and Steven Universe is basically a show that was run entirely by a staff of lesbians. I don't know. Believe me or don't. They made a the woman that ran it, the head honcho, she made a point. She'd never hire a man unless if she needed a male voice. What she did, she'd have like the janitor come in and do the voice for her. They'd hire, basically she would not hire a professional voice. She'd just find she'd find a male cuck. She'd find a cuck to among her little inner circle of friends, and give them the job. And basically, the chart between the staff of all these shows, basically, it just basically doubled as a who was sleeping with who chart. And it was so incestuous, it looked like the Habsburg family tree. Look it up. You don't know what I mean. But, and that one show, what was it? Thundercats Roar. Same general art style, same accordion mouth, same, just same low standards and quality. One of the things I'd like to point out is that, well, basically, the woman who was in charge of Steven Universe ran it like it was her personal hobby. And it was a mess. I've read interviews and reviews and biographies of all that went on behind the scenes in those shows, and shouldn't surprise you in the least. The up and coming animation community is a lesbian hookup hangout. The only males allowed are the ones that have been properly neutered beforehand. I don't know why I came on this tonight. It's the past few days. I've been feeling severely disoriented. 2 nights in a row, I fell asleep in my office chair in front of my computer desk. I don't have an office. I have an office chair. I have a living room and an office chair. That's yeah. But you have no idea how badly that throws your equilibrium. At my age, especially. And then crashing, and I got up. I tried to start the day, and the next thing I know, I was out of it again. I had to go back, lie back down, and then the heat wave hit, and I had to try and sleep through the heat wave because Even with the air conditioner going, it would have been like working in a sauna. Just one thing right after another. And you know, and I'm completely lost any sense of place and time. So as I finish this, when I finish this, I'm going to just sit down. My plan was is that once I was once I was well rested and awake, I was going to just start doing hour by hour. Take an hour, work on a drawing, then stop, take an hour, work on one of the stories that I'm writing. One of the fanfics I'm writing that everybody's following. Then take another hour and work on something else. I don't know if I can do that. I can't maintain. Maybe I should break it down to like 15 minutes. Okay. Well, I'm not up to anything, so let's do it anyway. We've gone too far already. Let's keep going and see what we get. Okay, Eli and T-Mug, you have a topic, but by the sound of it, you may not be up to it. Go for it, Eli. Eli and T-Mug. I keep picturing a rapping duo from the 80s. Going to school is really cool. Crack is whack, and you're a fool. And I don't know. I was sitting in the tub, watching my tub down the drain, and the TV set fell in and it shorted out my brain. Eli and T-Mug, Eli and T-Mug, T-Bear and Jamal. There was a TV show called T-Bear and Jamal, where they had some gangster rapper doing the voice of the teddy bear. T-Bear and Jamal, T-Bear and Jamal. They even had for a while they had a MC Hammer cartoon. Hammer Man. He was a superhero. He was supposed to be a second generation superhero. His father had been, I think, Soul Man, and he had a pair of magic talking shoes that gave him powers, but he couldn't keep up the pace, and so he handed off the shoes to Hammer Man. Can you tell us about the stories that you will never do or finish? I live in fear that I'll never finish the ones I'm working on. Don't do that to me. Please don't do that to me. I'm easily frightened. A story that I'll never finish. Some stories never really do finish. They only trail off. I'll probably. The more I think about it, the less likely I am to ever finish the Sanguine Chronicles. It was, basically the Sanguine Chronicles was motivated by my annoyance with the Twilight phenomenon, and talk about holding a grudge too long. Does anybody know what Twilight is anymore? I mean, good grief. The teeny boppers, the teeny boppers of today who would have been the mainstream market for them. Twilight, what's that? At this point, the instant a teenage girl looks at me and goes, "Twilight, what's that?" That's the point. I'll just lie down and die. It's too many stories, too many ideas. Every author probably has 1,000 ideas that never get anywhere. That he never starts. Because they're too bad, or because he just never has the time. TikTok. Ugh. I have all sorts of crazy ideas. I mean, you look at the oddments section in Archive of Our Own, my oddments section. Harry Potter as a vampire. That one's gotten what it's hilariously popular. People love it. Because basically, I stole a lot of his character style from Hellsing Abridged. Hellsing Ultimate Abridged. Hey kids, want to see a dead body? Ah! But you shouldn't be watching that. I know it's a horrible thing. I never should be watching. It's the funniest darn thing I ever saw. It's one of those things where you can't stop watching it. You're like, oh, that's horrible. I should have. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's horrible again. Oh, no. I've got a list of story ideas here. Just different story ideas. I wanted to do a crossover between Harry Potter and Discworld. Or rather, it was going to be the idea the story idea is Harry Potter and the luggage. The idea being is that after a certain conniving old goat drops Harry on the doorstep of the Dursleys, another wizard comes stumbling down that road in the middle of the night. And Rincewind, being a native wizard of Discworld, is a bit more genre savvy, and he realizes that Harry Potter, lying there with the scar on his forehead and the bassinet, is a destined hero, and he's like, oh dear, and he does the only thing he can for the kid, because apparently Rincewind is sort of passing on his way through for some reason, from one world to the next. And it seems that Rincewind's luggage recently had a litter. Of lots of little luggages. And so Rincewind leaves a trunk, a luggage, with Harry as a gift. To try and help the boy out. Now, if you've ever read anything by Terry Pratchett, you'll know about the luggage. So you can imagine when Harry Potter ends up with his own version of the luggage and goes to Hogwarts with it. Makes things much more interesting. I had another idea called Harry Potter, Son of Hagrid. It dawns on Dumbledore, after getting chased off the Dursley property with a shotgun, that mayhap a better adoptive parent is available. With a quick secret keeper spell to hide the boy's true name, Harry finds himself with a new half-giant father. And the story would be that Harry Potter was raised by Hagrid. and that he is a lot more familiar with the wild side of the magical world than he was before. He's also bigger and bluffer, built kind of like a linebacker. He slaps, he's first time he meets Ron, he slaps him on the back and leaves a handprint. And he happens to have made friends of the magical creatures of the Forbidden Forest. I also had an idea. I have an idea for My Hero Academia. Now, how many of you have ever heard of the old comic, the old Marvel comic? Was it Marvel or DC? I think it was DC. Well, anyway, there was this comic, a DC comic. It was called Dial H for Hero. The idea was the two main characters, a boy and a girl, each are given an alien artifact. All they have to do to activate it is dial the word hero on it, Hero. And, they each have one. One's a watch, one's a pendant. And they dial Hero, and it turns him into a superhero. But it turns him, for 2 hours. But it turns him into a different superhero each and every time they dial it. And the idea is that the Dial H for Hero comic book, readers could send in their ideas for superheroes. And the writers would use those superhero designs for the Dial H kids. I only found a couple of issues of it when I was younger, and it's a shame they didn't keep it going. But the character's sort of floating around in the background somewhere in the DC universe. My idea was to have, if there was anybody who could make use of a different, of having a different superhero power with, every single time, Izuku would be it. So Izuku ends up with the Dial H dial. I also had the idea of Izuku, King of the Monsters, where basically he could turn into giant kaiju. His smallest form would be Kong. His biggest? Guess who? I also had an idea for Izuku getting the Incredible Hulk's powers. Just all sorts of ideas you can have. Ideas are, if anybody out there is listening to this and wants to use these ideas, go for it. Take it and run with it. I would love to see these stories fleshed out, made, by anybody. Give a fairly good shot at it. Go for it. I had an idea where Izuku ends up with the power to turn into a Night Fury from, you guessed it, How to Train Your Dragon. Now, I've noticed this about the My Hero Academia stories. Every now and then, somebody will try and write a My Hero Academia fan fiction where Izuku doesn't get a quirk. He doesn't get all for one, or one for all, rather. He decides he's going to be a quirkless superhero. And the usual result is that the writers either turn him into Batman, or they turn him into Iron Man. And give him ridiculous super gadgets to do his superhero thing with. And I don't know. course, you run into the problem that eventually, the story always has a point where All Might approaches him and offers him one for all, and he refuses. Which is, you think about that, that's not logical thinking. That's not rational thinking. For all that it would be nice to prove that a ordinary, quirkless person could be a hero, could be a superhero. In the end, a superpower or a quirk is a tool. Some good, some bad, some more useful, some less useful. But to refuse to use a tool at all, when it's one thing to not have the tool and not be able to get it, but to refuse to accept it, that would be foolishness, especially considering just how dangerous being a superhero would be. I think how many of you have seen Kick-Ass? Enough said. I could see a story where Izuku becomes the next Kick-Ass. That he goes reading about the pre-quirk era and finds out about people who had no powers and dressed up and tried to be superheroes, and he finds the mementos of Kick-Ass. His green suit and his batons. And Izuku decides to try and be the next Kick-Ass. Of course, the running gag would be that he doesn't realize that Kick-Ass isn't exactly a polite word. He's Japanese. The word Kick-Ass is English. And the thing, excuse the crunching. Gotta eat somehow. With some of the mutations in that show, why do they keep their skin over whatever they had? Wires me out. I'm not sure I follow what you're saying there, Chief. Try again. I like that idea. I like the idea of Izuku deciding to carry on the legacy of Kick-Ass, the last powerless superhero. The difference being is that unlike Kick-Ass, Izuku manages to get it right. Oh yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that dragon lady design. Yeah, Ryuku, I think her name is. You know, the dragon hero. They basically make it look like a dragon that's been body painted to look like a human woman. I'm like, no, 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 no. I wonder if they actually consulted with the artist before they, the writer of the original writer of the story. The manga, the manga's in black and white. What are they gonna know? But, funny joke, funny thing. In the original, when they were filming the original pilot, for Star Trek, they were getting to the scene with the green chick, and they were taking test photos of the lady in her green makeup and sending it off to the studio, to the camera people. The camera people were sending it back, and you couldn't see the green at all. And they look at the pictures, and they go, "That's not right." And they kept making the makeup darker and darker and dark until she looked like an avocado at one point. And then they sent the proofs off. And finally, the guy that worked in the dark room came out. What the hell is this? And he realizes that the guy in the guy working in the dark room had thought that it was a camera error and was correcting it so that her green skin had a flesh tone. They had to explain to him she's supposed to be a green chick. Stuff like that, It's a funny thing. You got to realize any movie, any TV show, or especially a movie, it requires hundreds of people working simultaneously on the same thing. They have to hire special editors whose whole job is to do nothing. They don't film the scenes in order. They'll film the end of the movie before they even start filming the beginning sometimes. They'll film different sections of it, and then the editor splices it all together. But there are continuity editors whose job is to make sure that everything in the shot is correct from scene to scene. That furniture isn't moved around by mistake. People are wearing the same clothes they were in the previous clip, so on and so forth. But even then, they still make mistakes. There are several movies. There's if you have to look for them though. There'll be scenes where a guy will be holding like a bowl of fruit, and the camera will switch, and suddenly he's holding a plate of hors d'oeuvres instead. Or there's one scene in a movie called One Crazy Summer where the main character puts on a Viking helmet. He puts it on right, and then the camera switches views, and the helmet is on backwards, and then it switches back, and it's forward again. It's little things like that. And it's even worse with animation. Star and the Forces of Evil. That's another. It's called the Cal Arts Conspiracy because all the artwork in the shows just is painfully similar, and they all seem to be the same little clique of artists from Cal Arts. Random jump-off point for you there. I remember, but getting back to My Hero Academia, they have some ridiculous abilities and powers and human forms in that show. But you got to remember, again, Japanese, wildly different culture. They have an entirely different perspective on what is reasonable, image-wise. For instance, in Japanese culture, in Japanese folklore, anything that has existed for over 100 years can become a spirit. Develop a soul, for lack of a better word. This is why ghost stories in Japan or China. This is more of an Asian thing, but particularly in Japan. You will see if they have a crowd scene in a ghost story, you'll see things like animated umbrellas and bird cages and all sorts of stuff. It's basically supposed to be various things that knickknacks or artifacts that have been around for 100 years and have developed a life or a spirit of their own. They have a very different concept of what constitutes a spirit, what constitutes humanity, and what constitutes realistic, for a body. As a result, they have some very odd folklore and urban myths. There are still some very old people, among the very old in Japan. They used to believe, when electricity and telephone wires were still going up, somehow an urban myth got started that the wires, they coated the wires with sort of a tarry substance. I forget what actually it was, but they coated the wire. It was waterproofing of a sort, and somehow an urban myth got around that that black goop they were coating the wires with was made from the blood of young maidens. Do not ask me how that got started. There are still some people alive in Japan who believe it. And very strange stuff. And they also believe in Asia that if you leave a fan going in a room while you're asleep, it could make you suffocate. They're just folklore and urban myths that crop up in the society. It's little odd differences like that get lost in translation, that don't make the leap when they when they bring anime or manga over to the United States. There are certain parts of it that are just simply lost, because most people, you have to be more aware of the culture it came from, to get the joke, as it were. One of the things that everybody complained. A lot of people complained about Izuku in the early parts of the story, that he cries too much. He's a big whiny crybaby. The other characters in the show do tease him about it a little bit, but you have to understand is that in Japan, crying is not necessarily a sign of weakness or being effeminate. In fact, in artistic, in pop culture, in their pop culture, tears are they have the concept of tears of rage, tears of manly passion. They actually have that concept. For instance, the Japanese rendition of the Hulk, the Japanese manga version of the Incredible Hulk, published over in Japan. The Hulk, whenever Bruce Banner transferred, the Hulk was constantly weeping in rage. See, that's an example of something that didn't quite make the jump, across cultures. But it's interesting to know, isn't it? Oh, here's one for you. Here's a very interesting one for you. Now, in an early primary school in Japan, they do not give grades. They're more focused in the first few years of school on teaching them, social etiquette, that sort of thing. But they do have handouts and papers and coloring sheets and things like that. Now, instead of grading them, now you remember Miss Cheerilee from My Little Pony. Hold on here. Let me shrink the screen down here. Down to a manageable size, anyway. Now, Miss Cheerilee is the school teacher in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And she has a cutie mark of 3 smiling sunflowers. Now, in the show, she says because it was a sign that, she knew she wanted to be a teacher and she wanted to make her students bloom and grow. Now, the thing of it is, in Japan, in the school, in grade school, in kindergarten, when the teachers they don't put a gold star on a child's paper. What they put on the child's paper is a smiling flower. Nifty, no? It's completely coincidental, but it works so perfectly. I just had to bring that up. I think I'm gonna go get some milk, maybe some orange juice. I really got to wonder about that. You said that one they took away Elmer Fudd's shotgun, and so they had that one section of the new cartoon where he was chasing Bugs Bunny with a scythe. I really gotta wonder if the animators were going, "Oh yeah, you're gonna take away his gun here. We're gonna show you how we're gonna do it now." You remember from one of the fan fictions I wrote, yeah. Did it freeze again? Darn it. I'm not particularly scared of the Asimo robot. The way it moves, let's put it the way, you'll impress me with a robot when it can't be knocked over by a 6-year-old. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not sure what the story is with the feed. It's always the same old song and dance. It'll work fine for a while, then it won't. Then it will, then it won't, then it will, then it won't. You see, this is what I have to pay $80 a month for. 80 frickin' dollars. I don't know whether man, I don't know what it would do. I'm just sitting here, with a leaking roof and bad wiring and bad plumbing and rotting floors. I'm just waiting for something in my house to kill me. So, okay, it's I don't know what the story is. I pay them, they screw me, Okay, it is 3:30 in the morning. It is 3:30 in the morning. I think I'm going to call it. It's dead, Jim. So, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your pledges and your donations and your commissions and all the other things that thank you for all the little things you do. So, I'll be seeing you later. You all take care of yourselves. God bless.